I have done a little bit of gardening without you, so this is what you missed out on. I uncovered all the strawberry plants, got rid of the weeds. The weeds are now chopped up, and on this garden, I'm pretty sure that's a pansy from last season, so we've just put some mushroom compost around there. We put some mushroom compost around the gerbera because it was looking very sad. And we put a bunch of mushroom compost here. This garden was built on grass clippings only. It's never really had any soil, so that's where I used my next bag of mushroom compost. And it's looking awesome. This is also a gerbera. So that's it. You're all caught up. Now, today, we need to tackle this one last bed. First things first, we need to clear this area of spiders. I'm also very casually, low-key, terrified of snakes in this part of the garden. The deadly brown snake is pretty common here on the Gold Coast, and you've got about a 15-minute window to bandage yourself and get to hospital before your blood turns to jelly. Did that just get a bit dark? Anyway, spiders. So now I'm spending a very long time cleaning the trellis of the leftover bean plants, completely unaware that you can't actually see what I'm doing right now. So let me explain the part that you can see. I'm chopping any green parts of the bean plant or any other weeds and stuff into smaller pieces, and I'm putting them in the bucket. Then I'm going to clear the surface weeds and things off of the soil. Once I have a big enough space cleared, I tip the bucket onto the soil, and then as I work my way around, I just continue to put the green stuff back onto cleared soil. Cutting everything up smaller helps it to break down faster and feed the soil. These are the weeds that we were talking about that grew into a literal tree, and they are a very invasive weed that has like these spikes everywhere, so you have to be so careful. And once the spike spikes you, it's like a splinter. It's awful. So we will deal with that. We've got a few zinnia seeds that we'll put with the collection. We've got all of this done, and now that we've cleared this, I did get some supplies to do a DIY gate for Dave. So we want to keep the dogs in this side of the yard because danger. There could be snakes and all sorts of things in there. We are going to clear that, but originally Dave was small enough to get out under the gate. So yeah, I've got enough stuff to do just one gate, so we might start with this one, and we'll put some mulch down here as well. So I'll get it cleaned up, and then we'll give that a go. Speaking of which, Dave just pushed his way through. I'm going to put all this stuff back in the box from whence it came. It's old fish tank things, and we might get the fish tank up and running sometime in the future. So we'll just pop it back in there. I'm going to leave it here to just block access today while I'm working. I got rid of some of the vines that were from an old sweet potato. If you watch some of my older videos, you'll see the epic sweet potato harvest that I had. Past me had laid down all of these plastic bags to block access to the weeds. So I'm actually going to pull them up, and we're going to reclaim all our little weed mat pegs so that we can reuse them. It was pretty hard, so I just used the metal part of my secateurs to get them up, and I really just cleared this area so that we can get our gate ready. Okay, I'll just have to take clips because I have my phone sitting up here, and because I'm hammering, the vibration made it fall off. So I'm going to hammer this in, and then this bigger pipe fits over the top of there, and then that one stays in place, and then this has the other end of mesh on it. The mesh will wrap around there, and then down here we're going to put a small metal thing, which I don't know where I put it, so I have to go find it, or something similar. And then this will just hook onto there, and then you hook it off, open the gate, and hook it back on. So let's see if that works. Alright, so this is on, looking good. And then I'm just digging this out with this tiny shovel. We are going to try and put a bar so that it is going to be rigid. Don't know what I'm going to use yet, but what I want to do is put a little bit of gutter guard here. So we need to go find our straight thing. Here's one. So I can put the gutter guard in. So I think we will dig just a little more in. And we found some pegs to use. So we are losing a little bit of garden bed, but it's going to look nice and neat and keep Dave where he's supposed to be. And then I'm just going to dig around and even this out a little bit, or even like dig it down so when we put the mulch, it's not washing up into the drain. It's staying away from it. So I think that's what I'll do. And then I'm going to sweep off all this black plastic. We'll be careful lifting this up. Watch out for snakes, but I've seen a few lizards. Dave's chasing lizards. Gotta clean that up. And yeah, we'll come back when I make the gate. So I think I'm also going to remove these bags, which is underneath here. So I'm going to take the guard off, remove the bags, get any pins that I can. We're going to put this black plastic back down, but at the moment it's under here and I want it to butt up against it so we can get rid of it later on if we want to. The funniest part about this is I'm using like a cut off piece from my leftover gutter guard, but I actually had small pieces put away that I could have used for this. It was also really hard to get the pins in, so I got the hammer out. Okay, so I found this, which is an old part of a greenhouse. And so that can go there with the mesh I'm gonna use this mesh. I've got some left over, which go from here to the top of the other pipe. And then in the ground is this pipe. I feel like it's gonna be too long because it should only just stick out the ground that much. I don't know if I'll be able to drive it into the ground that far. So, because this is quite stiff. So I guess I'll give it a go and see what happens. Alright, I was able to drive it into the ground pretty far. And so yeah, this goes from here and clips there, but woo! So we're just gonna have to make a clip up here. So we'll probably just do a loop and some kind of a something. But yeah, let's put this mesh on now. Alright, I just popped it like this. I'm gonna go find my zip ties and then we'll dig out this mesh. It's actually behind the mulberry bush over there. Found them. And this is my spare mesh here. Not gonna lie, I spent quite a bit of time wrestling this mesh to get it around the pipe. I started from the top, curving it around, putting a zip tie on, and then I took the pipe off and continued to work the mesh around. Problem is, where I had cut it was like half pieces and it was jabbing into the other pieces. But anyway, I did top, bottom, did some in the middle. I was running out of zip ties a little bit, so I made sure I had enough to do the other side because I would have been upset if I wasn't able to complete this today because of zip ties. Once the final tie was on, I went back and I snipped off all those long ends. They're going to be annoying later on, so just tidy it up now. Slip it back over the pole, and I'm getting secretly excited now because I can see it's going to work. So then I just held it taut up against the other pole. I ended up putting a loop of like a reusable zip tie on the other end. Once I'd measured it taut, I just cut the excess off. I love this mesh because you can cut it with scissors and it's very flexible what you can make with it. As you can see, I've made the tunnel. Now I'm making this gate. It's pretty inexpensive. It's about, I don't know, 30 bucks for a roll. And it is UV resistant. I've had this for probably 3 or 4 years and I've used it in lots of different ways. And so I'm just going to zip tie along the second pole, and I was kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do with that metal part. I'm just going to zip tie it on in the middle. It's just going to give us a little bit of structure later on. And it works! So excited! Okay, I got the top strapped on. I'm going to go see if I have some more zip ties. I think I have some white ones somewhere. But with this, well, if we just like slip that off, then you lift, open, put it back, and pop that back on. Oh my god, it works. Amazeballs. And just like that, we've got a working DIY gate. Alright, I'm going to have to stay inside for a little while now because Dave is starting to overheat. And if I keep going back outside, then he will keep going back outside. So I'm going to cool down, edit the footage, and I'll see you next time in the garden because guess what? We're going to get to planting.